So you have poor folk here who are paying their taxes, their government in turn takes that money and sends it over in terms of resources and money to foreign governments in Africa. The problem is most of those funds don't make it to the starving kids you see on those ads. When you see the starving kid ads, most of those kids don't end up receiving that money. I'll tell you where that money goes. Again, my opinion here. And a lot of people have done research, and I did research on this as well, ends up in the hands of some of the most corrupt governments on the continent of Africa. My problem with foreign aid is threefold. It props up bad actors. So when we donate money and give money to my fellow brothers and sisters who need the resources, when we send that money to countries in Africa, does our government really verify and check to find out if these governments are following democratic, small letter D, practices? Are we really investing the time to know if these governments are corrupt or not? Are we really investing the time to find out how much for every dollar, how much actually gets in the hands of those starving kids, those mothers who need help? We don't. So we're propping up bad governments because we're just giving out money. There are governments in sub-Saharan Africa whose entire budget, majority of it, a good portion of it, relies on foreign aid. How could that be? Africa, believe it or not, folks, is the world's richest continent in terms of resources. But we have the poorest countries economically. But we still keep sending money. It's believed since the late 70s, since African countries became independent from the 1950s onward, the United States government has spent trillions of dollars on the continent of Africa. And what has that brought us? The life expectancy in Africa is still the lowest in the world. We still have people who go on living on $1 a day. How are we holding those governments accountable? We're not. So we're propping up bad governments. Number two, a lot of the foreign aid that you see, even with the nonprofits, they mean well. And I'm sure some lives are being saved. But part of it are these feel-good projects that people are doing. Have you ever seen the average American person who is doing missionary work and goes to the continent of Africa? Half the time they're there to get a selfie. Look at this picture, me, white person, with all these starving black kids. I'm saving lives. I wrote articles on that. I got a question to people who do that. By the way, that bothers the shit out of me. Excuse my language. Why not do that here? Why don't you go find minority communities here and take those pictures and help your own here before you try and go across the world and help others? So again, a lot of these foreign aid projects are feel-good projects for the average American. Look at what I'm doing. I'm saving somebody. Somebody who was going without is now eating. We don't know if that's really the case. So propping up bad governments, feel-good projects, and then we're destroying economies.